Good evening, friends, and welcome to Sleepless Creator tonight. I've brought you a calm, gentle story, a bedtime sleep story crafted for sleepless minds and restless hearts. This is more than just history for sleep. It's a soft-spoken escape into forgotten times and quieter worlds, designed to help you fall asleep fast. If your thoughts are racing, or if peace feels far away, you're in the right place. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let these sleep-inducing stories guide you gently into rest. Your quiet night begins now. With Sleepless Creator * Story 1. What did Caveman actually do all day? Before the first light waking in the Paleolithic *, the world you wake to is not a place of urgency. There is no alarm clock, no hurried commute, no headlines or bright screens. Instead, the earliest rays of dawn are soft fingers pressing against the roof of a cave-low, smoky with fire ash, smelling of dust and animal hide. You open your eyes slowly, as if you've slept without time. Perhaps you have. You are one of the Homo sapiens, or perhaps, on this morning, a Neanderthal cousin with a heavy brow and strong hands. Either way, your world is carved from stone, flint, and survival. But it is not without rhythm. In fact, it moves with a calm, circular certainty. Waking with the earth cold is the first thing you notice. Even in spring, even with furs layered over your shoulders, the air bites. Someone may be the old woman with braided hair, maybe the youth learning fire from tinder is stoking last night's embers. The glow is red and breathing. It hisses as dry moss is added, then catches. You do not rise with haste. Your body stretches slowly, joints creaking from the bare stone floor or soft bed of leaves and fur. In this age, sleeping upright was rare. You and your kin huddled closely shared warmth was not just comfort, but necessity. Some wake earlier than others. The hunter sleeps lightly, his ears attuned to distant footfalls in the dark. The gatherer dreams of roots and berries beneath loam. A child mumbles, half asleep, mouth sticky with last night's dried fruit. No words are spoken yet. You simply listen to the wind outside the cave, to the distant howl of something on four legs, to the crackle of a new flame being born. Morning rituals without a clock. You chew on dried meat from the previous hunt. A little tough, a little salty. From smoke, it softens as you suck the fibers apart. You drink from a smooth gourd or a stone basin filled with water from a spring nearby. Cold, metallic with minerals, clear. Before there were spoons, fingers were the primary tools. Smooth stones might serve as bowls. Shells were prized when found not for decoration, but for their perfect scoop. A child might trade one shell for a piece of dried honeycomb if it was a good day. Some people are already moving toward the cave's entrance. The sun is not fully risen, but a soft pale light outlines the trees beyond. Those assigned to gather flint or firewood today will go. First their hands will be rough, their footsteps quiet. The tools they carry are simple but cherished sharpened rocks, woven cord, slings made from sinew. No one rushes. Time is not counted but observed, in the angle of shadows, in the calls of birds, in the way your stomach begins to feel after so many hours without food. The structure of the unwritten day. You might think of their lives as shapeless, formless, but you'd be mistaken. They were structured, it simply wasn't noted on parchment, or etched on stone calendars. Early morning, embers reignited. Light breakfast, first scouting or foraging groups leave. Midday, return of foragers. Tools are sharpened, hides are scraped. Children are taught by watching. Late afternoon, hunting parties might depart or return, depending on season. Evening, fire is central. Food is cooked, if available, stories are told. Night, sleeping in close bundles, guarded by firelight and a sharp stone near the wrist. This rhythm held not just over days, but generations. You live in a group, rarely alone. Perhaps 15, maybe 30 others share your fire. You know their faces deeply, even if you have no names. The elder with the crooked foot, the boy who mimics birds, the tall woman who sharpens flint better than anyone else. Kinship isn't always through blood, but through necessity and familiarity. Gender and labor, but without boxars did. Men hunt and women gather. Often yes, but not always. The fossil record and modern anthropology reveal more fluidity than once. Believed, in some caves, women were buried with throwing spears. In others, men had baskets of gathered roots. Tasks weren't always rigid. They followed skill, age, and health. Children gathered light kindling. Elders tended the fire or taught young ones how to strip bark or make glue from boiled hooves. Those who couldn't travel contributed by mending hides, cracking marrow bones, or simply remembering retelling migration paths or animal signs from years before. You feel no shame in work, nor pride. Only function, only contribution. Tools and the slow art of survival. The stone tools are not crude. They are honed. A hand axe, shaped with care, could take days to make correctly. The edges are flaked with patience. You know by touch which ones are sharp enough to butcher a carcass or shave kindling. Sometimes the tools are retouched, sharpened again, rewrapped in sinew or hide. Flint, obsidian, quartzite, each has a different use. Some you carry in a pouch on your side. Others are stored in a niche inside the cave, behind a stone slab. There are no possessions as we know them, but there is ownership of a sort. The elder's scraper is not yours to take. The boy's favorite shell is guarded fiercely. Even beauty is present. Some tools are etched with lines or dots. Not decoration, perhaps maybe marks of identity or instruction. A mystery still, shelter, and belonging. Not all lived in caves. Some built shelters from bones and hide. Mammoth bones arched like ribs, covered in leather, weighed down with stones. These were warmer in winter, portable when needed. Where you sleep is sacred in a way, not with ceremony, but with meaning. You lie close to those you trust. You keep your sharpest tool within reach. You turn toward the fire. Ash is swept carefully, reused to protect food or keep insects at bay. Water drips from the cave wall, gathered in bowls. Bats live above you. You don't mind, they've always been there. The silence between moments there are long stretches where nothing happens. You sit. You scratch a symbol into clay. You hum or listen to the hum of someone else. A child drums on a log. A dog-like companion, domesticated just slightly, rests its chin on your ankle. It's not boredom, it's presence. Clouds move across the sky. You watch. No one speaks for hours. Your world is quiet, but not empty. The wind brings smells. Distant fire, dry leaves, fur, salt from nearby marshes. You note each one, a shadow, moves through the trees. It may be a deer, or it may not. You watch. You do not act yet. And then the fire again comes slowly. Shadows lengthen. Fire becomes central again. Food is past not always enough, but something. Roasted roots, marrow from bones, dried berries, sometimes meat. You eat slowly. You listen. Someone tells a story, perhaps about a bear they saw, perhaps about stars or a dream they had. Language is limited, but the sounds are rich, the gestures vivid. You understand, there is no written record, but there is memory. Oral echoes, what happened seasons ago is told again tonight. In the flickering light, history is remembered by fire. You lie down slowly, under firs, beside family. The fire crackles low, the wind softens. Your last thought is a quiet one. What will tomorrow bring, if nothing changes at all? When hunger walks beside you foraging, hunting, and moving through the land, the fire is still warm when you rise again. Not much time has passed, but time is not measured in hours here. It's marked by the stiffness in your back, the silence. Before the first bird call, the cold nose of the air nudging your skin. Today will not be spent in the cave. You are needed beyond its walls, in the deep hush of the forest, where the land offers both risk and nourishment, preparing for the days. Quiet work, there is no armor, no uniforms, but there is preparation. You wrap sinew around your wrist where the stone knife might chafe. You tie your hair back with a leather thong. You choose your sling carefully, not the loose one that cracked last time, but the sturdy one weighted with smoothed pebbles. Some of these stones you've carried from far away, selected for their weight and feel. A pouch hangs from your hip. It's made from deer bladder or woven grasses, soft and water-resistant. Inside, dry tinder, a piece of flint, a bit of bone, glue hardened into a bead. And if you're lucky, a sliver of smoked meat from the night before. You do not announce you're leaving. You simply begin to walk, following the same ancient path trodden by your kin for generations. Alongside you move others, some older, some younger, all quiet, foraging. The art of looking without disturbing, you begin by gathering. There are no gardens, no fences, but the forest is full of patterns of growth, decay, and edible signs. You kneel beside a patch of damp earth and lift a tangle of leaves. Beneath it, thin white roots, seedable if soaked, bitter otherwise. You pluck only a few, farther along. You find berries, dark, clustered, glistening with dew. You taste one first, never trust a memory without testing. This one is good. You gather more, gently, never stripping a whole bush. Elsewhere, nuts with their shells softened from last night's rain, bark with lichens scraped off by deer tongues. You make note of these places. You'll come again. There is no list of what's. Safe only what has been shown, what has been passed down in gestures and shared bites. A wrong plant can bring days of sickness. So you're cautious, observant. You pause often, letting the forest speak. Hunting, patience, and stillness later. In the morning, you reach a clearing where the group splits. Some remain for roots and herbs. Others, like you, climb quietly. A ridge to track movement. You carry no spear today. You are not a lead hunter, but you are there to learn, to assist. Signs come slowly. A snapped twig with fresh sap. A hoof print half filled with last night's rain. A patch of disturbed grass, where something large lay, then silence. This is the longest part of the day. Not moving, but waiting. You crouch under ferns, breathing through your nose, still as stone. Time becomes air. Your muscles ache, but you do not shift. Somewhere nearby, something breathes that is not human. The leader makes a sound small, like a bird's click. You look. A deer grazes through the trees, oblivious. The throw is silent. The thud is not. There is no cheer, no triumphant cry, only motion, quick and practiced. The animal twitches, stills. The leader murmurs something lone, prayer, not apology, but perhaps gratitude. You feel it in your chest. This was necessary, but not easy. Butchering and dividing the body is dragged slowly, respectfully. Near a stream, you gather. Knives are drawn not metal, but obsidian or flint, sharp as any steel. The cuts are clean. The hide is peeled, rolled, saved. The meat is separated, portioned, wrapped in leaves or hide. Bones are split from marrow. The stomach, still warm, is buried or fed to dogs. Nothing is wasted. Eyes, tongue, fat, tendons. The hunters chew on a few raw slivers, warm, metallic, nourishing. You try one. It's not pleasant, but it fills you. You carry what you can. The rest will be cached, marked with stones. Tomorrow, another party may return to collect more. Walking through the known world, the path home is longer than it feels. Not because of the weight, but because you're watching. You step around old cairns, rock piles that mean something to your people. A warning, a reminder, a grave perhaps. You pass a tree marked with a claw. Old, you place your palm on it briefly. Some believe this invites protection. Some just like the coolness of the bark. At one point, you stop for water. You do not gulp. You dip a hollow bone, drink from it slowly, feeling the coolness in your throat. Others do the same. The forest grows darker. Evening approaches. You've been gone all day, yet it feels like time never left you. Returning with more than food when you return to camp, you are greeted not with ceremony, but presence. Eyes lift. The old woman nods. The children look at what you carry. The meat is prepared. The hide is stretched. Bones are boiled or cracked. You are asked, without words, to describe what you saw. You gesture. You imitate the deer. You show where it lay. You are not telling a story. You are passing knowledge. That night, you sit near the fire. The smoke rises slowly. You hold a piece of meat in one hand, a smooth pebble in the other one you picked up near the stream. It felt warm in your palm. You keep it. Somewhere nearby, someone sings. Not a song with words, just a low, humming tone. It matches the sound of wind through reeds that you listen. And for a moment, you think of how many times this has happened. How many feet have walked these trails? How many fires have flickered before yours? You are not alone in time. Songs without words, evening memory, and the Paleolithic mind asterisk. The sky is turning, the color of ash-tinged rose. The sun, now lowered behind jagged hills, paints the cave walls in quiet gold. No one announces the end of day, it simply arrives. As expected, as always, you sit cross-legged near the hearth. Its heat is steady now, no longer wild. The smell of cooked fat, drying leather, and crushed herbs is thick but comforting. Smoke rises in slow ribbons toward a hole in the cave roof or curls against stone when the wind outside shifts. This is the time of gathering, not of food, but of presence. A world without writing, yet rich with memory. There are no books to read, no parchment to leaf through. But stories live. The old man who never hunts anymore speaks softly. His voice is gravelly, his words few, but the children lean forward. He is describing a cave, far from here, where red ochre marks a wall like falling antlers. He draws in the dirt with a stick as he speaks, lines looping and crossing like rivers. You've never seen this place. You don't even know if it still exists. But now you can picture it. Someone else interrupts to add a memory. A bare scene on that path. A flood that swept away a shelter once. The conversation is a weave, a tapestry of remembered places and shared fears, and none of it is written down. Your people carry the world in their minds, cave, walls, and the language of image behind you in a deeper chamber. There are marks. Some are handprints, small and large, some fingers missing. Not accidents, deliberate. Some say it was a sign of identity, others of counting. No one agrees, but all feel the hush when they're near. There are animals, deer, mammoth, bison, not drawn in haste. Their bodies are curved, shaded with charcoal and ochre. Some have dots nearby, patterns, prayers. You don't know. What you do know is that when the torches are held near them, the animals seem to move. Shadows flicker, legs kick, horns lower. It feels like breathing. A child once traced, one with their fingers. The elder pulled them back gently. Not in anger, just reverence. This is memory made visible. Evening, chores and sleep preparations. There is still work to do. You scrape marrow from bone and add it to the communal pot. Fat is precious. It warms, it feeds. It is medicine and fuel. Someone is repairing a hide. A tear from earlier, stitched now with sinew. They hum softly. The rhythm matches their stitching. You crush berries with a stone, mix it with ash and spit. A primitive paint for tomorrow's hunt, whether for the body or the wall. Another person sharpens a blade, flicking flakes of stone onto a pile each. Shard glints like glass, beautiful and dangerous. Children carry water from the stream. Elders whisper reminders. Don't drop the vessel. Walk carefully on the rocks. Listen for the owl. Everything has a rhythm, even the quiet. Dreams shared by firelight. Not everyone sleeps at once. 2 people keep watch tonight. They sit at the cave's mouth, spears in hand, listening. Not out of fear, but habit. A rustle could be the wind door, a predator. Their eyes adjust to the dark. They know its shapes. Inside, people begin to settle. Hides are unrolled. Stones warmed by fire are placed near feet. A baby curls into their mother's side. Someone hums again. This time, it's different, slower, almost circular. You lie down. Your body aches, but gently, the kind of ache that comes from usefulness. You smell smoke, meat, dirt, sweat, leather, and pine. Above you, the cave ceiling looms dark and low, but it does not feel oppressive. It feels like shelter, like permanence. Someone murmurs beside you a half-sentence about a deer they dreamed of. You smile, eyes closed. Dreams are shared here, in fragments, in signs. In the morning, that dream may guide the hunt. What is thought without a word? Lying. Still, you wonder, what is it like to think without writing? Without numbers? Without a name for each feeling? Is it clearer or softer? Do you know the stars as points in a map, or as eyes watching from above? Do you remember a face as a name, or simply the way it tilts when listening? You do not wonder about time. You only wonder if the meat will last 3 more days, if the snow will come early this year, if the spring plants will grow where the mammoth bones lie. You are not less intelligent, only differently attuned. The world is not divided into facts and theories. It is a body you move, through a breath you match. Your thoughts drift, they do, not end, and so sleep comes. You are warm enough, full enough, tired enough, The fire crackles low, a whisper more than a flame now. Shadows dance lazily along the stone. Outside, a branch breaks. The watchers hear it but do not stir. You are not alone. You sleep with the rhythm of your ancestors, the heartbeat of stone and ash and breath. And as you drift off, one soft question floats in your mind. How many lives were lived in quiet, just like this, never written, never remembered, yet complete? Let's now wander into a different time, a different place. And now, let's drift into a new corner of forgotten history. Story 2, Palm Shadows and Clay Pots. A day in the life of a Mesopotamian potter clay at dawn. The quiet start of a Sumerian morning asterisk. The first light over Sumer is pale and forgiving. Rising over a flat stretch of baked earth, small canals and palm groves. The air smells of silt and damp straw, of distant ovens cooling from the night's work. You wake not to sound, but to softness, a curtain of woven reeds brushing your ankle as you shift under a thin linen sheet. The room is warm already. Sunlight slips between the reed lattice of the window, casting slow-moving stripes on the packed earth floor. You are a potter in the ancient city of Nippur, perhaps Uruk, or even the quieter town of Lagash. The exact name doesn't matter. What matters is the clay beneath your nails and the wheel in the corner that waits like an old friend. The potter's house, your home, is simple but sufficient. Mud brick walls, stacked with care, cool the heat of southern Mesopotamia. The roof is flat-made from layered reeds, clay, and wood. Sometimes you sleep up there when nights are too hot. This morning, though you've chosen the ground floor, close to your tools, your kill, and the clay jars soaking outside, you sit up slowly. There is no rush. The city is not yet busy. Only the temple servants and canal watchers are moving. From a nearby house comes the gentle thud of a grain-pestled breakfast being prepared. You wash your hands in a shallow bowl, the water darkened with yesterday's work. Your palms still smell faintly of ash and riverbank. You place your feet on the cool floor and begin your day. The ritual of clay. Your courtyard is shaded by a palm and bordered by jars. Some hold water, others thick clay pulled from the banks of the Euphrates 3 days ago. It has been left to sit, soften, breathe. You stir it gently with a stick, watching for lumps, listening to its wet sigh. You learned to make clay workable through experience, not instructions. You feel its readiness in the tension between your thumb and forefinger, to wet and the shape won't hold, to dry and the pot will crack when fired. You sit on a reed mat and begin kneading a small lump. It resists at first, then yields. This is not work done in haste. You press and fold, press and fold. It is quiet, meditative. Your hands move without thought. A child watches from the alley. You smile, but do not stop. The wheel and its whispers you. Potter's wheel is not as modern as later ones, but it spins. A simple kickwheel, heavy and round, mounted on a clay pedestal. You place the lump at its center, wet your hands, and begin the turn. Slowly at first, then faster. The wheel hums softly, a rhythm known only to you. You press downward, then lift. The clay responds. A shape begins to form, not a vase this time, but a shallow bowl. Maybe for oil, maybe for fruit, maybe to be sold in the temple quarter. You don't decide yet. The clay will tell you. Around you, the city begins to stir. Traders call to one another, and a donkey brays as it's led through the street. You do not notice. Your hands are wet with clay. Your eyes are half-lidded. You are somewhere between breath and form. This is not simply work. It is practice, reverence. The clay remembers every careless movement. It teaches you patience. Tools of mud and bone at your side are your tools, nothing elaborate. A wooden knife smoothed from date palm, a curved rib of sheep bone for scraping, a damp cloth for smoothing imperfections, a broken shard you use to etch your maker's marker symbol passed from your mother's mother. You don't need more than these. Once the shape is done, you lift it gently to hands, thumbs firm but soft. You place it beside others, each at varying stages of dryness. Some are dusty with age, others still sweat their moisture into the air. You exhale slowly. The wheel continues to spin for a few seconds more, then stops on its own. The kiln sleeps. Still your kiln, a low-domed structure of fired mud brick, still holds heat from yesterday. You squat near it, placing your hand close not to measure with numbers, but with instinct. It will need rest until evening. You do not fire in haste. Too soon, and the pots crack. Too hot, and they blacken. Ash from the last firing is scattered around the base. A few half-burned reeds remain. You sweep them gently aside, listening to the tiny hiss as your broom stirs the embers. You whisper something, not a prayer, not quite, just a word of recognition. The kiln is a creature in its own way. You feed it. It gives you permanence, city. Sounds and slow movements, the morning continues. You walk to the small stall where your cousin sells oil and figs. You trade one of your older pots for a small basket of dates. You nod to the temple boy carrying a tray of incense. You pause at the irrigation channel to watch water glimmer between reeds. There is no rush, no lists. The sun moves. That is all. Back home, you place the dates on a shelf beside older pots. Some have begun to flake. You will reuse the shards later for roofing, for temper, maybe even for new clay. Nothing is wasted. You kneel once more by the wheel. Another lump waits. The day grows warm by mid-morning. The heat rises. You dab your forehead with a cloth soaked. In river water, the flies are more persistent now, but you swat them gently away. The clay, drying faster than before, must be shaded or rewrapped. You retreat to the darker part of the house. There, in the corner, is your old teacher's petar, jar that never quite sealed right. It weeps moisture in the summer, but still stands. You look at it often. You place your newest bowl beside it, a silent offering, a reminder that today's hands are part of a longer chain. You rest your back against the wall and sip from a cool jar. Through the open doorway, light dances on the clay floor, and you wonder how many hands before yours shaped this same earth, held it with the same care, only to be forgotten in the dust of time. Midday market and mud brick silence, asterisk. The sun has climbed high now, casting strong geometric shadows against the courtyard walls. The smell of sun-baked earth rises from the street. Heat clings to your linen tunic, dampening the cloth at your back. It is the time when some rest when shutters are closed and traders sit in the shade of their canopies sipping watered beer from wide clay cups. But for you, this is the time for trade. Your pots are ready, some small and symmetrical, others slightly lopsided with the charm of hand-shaping. You've rubbed their edges smooth with sanded cloth and etched your mark, small and neat. At their base, you stack them in a wicker basket, cushioned with reeds and bits of clean wool scrap. One by one, you don't hurry. Each is placed as if it matters, because it does. Then, basket slung over your back, you step out into the city's slow pulse, the city of mud, and echoes the street is narrow. Its floor made from packed earth and crushed shell. Walls on either side loom just over your head, built from sun-dried mud bricks and patched with fresh clay after each rainy season. Tiny windows peek out, covered with reed mats or bits of pottery wedged to control the light. Children chase each other with woven palm fronds. A goat, marked with ochre on its forehead, bleats softly as it's led toward the temple quarter. You hear the slow thump of grain being ground by hand, the voice of a woman calling to her sister over the roof, the flap of pigeons from a courtyard coop. You are one of many, and yet, in this moment, your world is held in the weight of the basket on your back, the market by the canal. Follow the street past the school for scribes where boys practice cuneiform on damp, clay tablet sand. Arrive at the market square. Here, where the canal cuts closest to the city center, life buzzes. Stalls made of wood and woven mats lean into one another. The smell of fish drying on long racks mixes with the scent of pressed dates, sheep dung, and damp straw. Traders call softly, never shouting. It is too hot for noise. You know where to go. A woman who sells barley beer needs more cups. The temple quarter is always short on lamps. And a merchant from Ilam, dressed in foreign stripes, likes your low, wide bowls for serving lentils. You unwrap one pot at a time, letting the buyer feel the curve, the weight. You say little, your hands say enough. You let them see the line of your thumbprint beneath the glazed dot. Trade is quiet here. A nod, a clay token, a handful of dried onions or a string of fish bones as exchange. You are not rich, but your work is. Needed, temples and tokens won. Pot is reserved for the temple. Each month, you offer a vessel not as tax, but as part of the city's rhythm. The priest scribes mark your name on a tablet, check your last offering, and nod. The pot is taken too. The back may be to hold incense, maybe to store oil for anointing statues. You glance up at the towering ziggurat in the distance. Its steps reach into the sky, painted once in bright color, though now dulled by dust. You've never climbed it. Few have. But your work rests inside. You are part of something vast. And grounded, the return home empty hands, full thought by. Mid-afternoon, your basket is lighter. In its place, onions, a small string of dried figs, 2 new fish hooks. A good day, not great, but good. You pass a shrine on the way home. Just a simple niche in the wall with an old fired statue of a goddess. Someone has left crushed grain in a small bowl. You pause, not to worship, just to rest your feet. The shade is kind here when you return. The clay in your courtyard has dried into thin sheets, ready to be re-wetted or mixed with sand. You'll need it tomorrow. For now, you wash your hands. The water runs dark again. You place the new items on a low shelf. The figs you press flat, wrapping them in a reed mat to soften. The hooks you hang by the door. You eat slowly. In the shade, sitting still beside the wheel, you sit again near the wheel, but you do not spin it. Instead, you touch the edge of the last bowl you made. Your thumb traces the rim. You think of its future. Will it hold barley or oil? Will someone drop it in haste? Or will it sit on a temple shelf for years, gathering ash and quiet? You do not need to know. You only shaped it. The wind moves softly through the house. The smell of cooking drifts from the neighbor's home lentils and garlic and river salt. Your back rests against the wall. You close your eyes and breathe. Firing clay, watching stars evening in the oldest city asterisk. The sun has begun its descent. casting long amber lines through the reed slats over your windows. The air has shifted, no longer heavy, but close, still, and thick with the anticipation. Of night your kill has rested all day. Now it is time to feed it again. Preparing the fire, you move slowly. The firewood, collected over weeks, is arranged by size and dryness. Palm fronds, dry and curled. Tamarisk wood, slow burning and fragrant. Dung cakes cracked and stacked burned long, with little flame. You begin with small tinder, coaxing the breath of flame to life. This is a patient ritual. One spark, then smoke. You kneel close, blowing softly. A whisper between you and the fire dot it catches. You feed it gently. The heat builds slowly. You feel it against your shins, then your face. The air wavers in front of the kill's opening. Inside, a few older pieces remain from yesterday, cooling into permanence. You place new ones carefully beside them. Not all will survive. Some may crack, some will lean. But that, too, is part of the process. You close the kill's mouth with a shaped slab of clay and stone. Leave a small vent. Let it breathe, and then you wait. The long watching firing takes hours. The heat must remain steady. You sit nearby, feeding the fire every so often. You watch the smoke. You adjust the vents. It is a time for silence. Around you, the city slows. The priest's horn has sounded near the ziggurat, announcing dusk. Children are called home. Doors creak shut. The canal reflects the gold of the dying sky. Your hands are dusty with ash. Your tunic clings to your back. You sip water from a cup you made yourself. Its rim is chipped. You like it better that way. A neighbor calls softly over the wall asking if the firing goes well. You nod. No more words are needed. The sky above the Kilwin, the light fades fully. You look upward. The stars are ancient friends, blinking through the haze of distant hearths. In this place, long before telescopes or charts, the sky is still a story. The goddess Inanna may be rising. The stars of the ploughman, the fish. You know them not as science, but as presence. They've watched over your ancestors' kiln. They'll outlast your work. You do not feel small, you feel placed. The fire crackles louder now. It's almost done. You shift the clay slab slightly, letting the heat settle and flow. A warm wave brushes your skin. You smile. What is left after? The flame, eventually, the fire dies down. You do not open the kill yet. That will wait until morning. Let the heat fade. Let the pots settle. Firing is not only about flame, it is about cooling, about stillness. You brush ash from your knees and stand. Your body aches not with pain, but with proof of effort. Your hands are blackened, cracked at the thumb. Your back stiff, but you feel whole. Complete, you eat a simple meal of lentils and onions, soaked flatbread, a piece of dried fig. You sit against the wall of your house, facing the cooling kill. You hum just a little, a low note, a rhythm that matches the pulsing memory of the wheel. Rest, and what remains your bed is a reed mat softened with old wool. You lie down beside the kill, still warm from the day's work. Around you, the night sings crickets, wind, the far-off splash of something in the canal. Tomorrow, you'll open the kill. Some pots will be good. One may be flawed. Another may be better than you expected. You'll sell a few, trade others, keep one. The cycle will begin again. You close your eyes, and as the stars shimmer above and the last ember sighs, you wonder how many pots have vanished into the earth carried away. buried, broken, and yet, how many hands like yours once shaped them? In silence, watching this same sky, let's now wander into a different time, a different place, and now let's drift into a new corner of forgotten history. Story 3. The Bamboo Bookkeeper. Daily tasks of a Han Dynasty clerking before sunrise. The morning of a government scribe asterisk. The first sound is not birdsong, but the gentle creak of bamboo swaying outside your window. It moves like breath soft, rhythmic, unnoticed, until the silence makes it louder. You open your eyes. Your sleeping mat is still warm, the blanket of woven hemp clinging slightly to your limbs. The air is cool. Outside, the courtyard stones glisten faintly with dew. The roof tiles above you hold pools of night's last rain. You are a clerk, a record keeper, a minor functionary in the vast web of Han bureaucracy. Your name may never appear in annals of great men, but your hands keep the empire whole. And this morning, as always, begins with preparation. A scholar's spatial room is spare and orderly. A writing desk of cypress wood, shelves built low along the wall, stacked with rolled silk cloths and tied bamboo slips. A jar of ink rests on a smooth stone block. Beside it, the inkstone itself, dark worn, waiting. The scent of ink never leaves your fingers. Even in sleep, you light a small oil lamp. The flame flickers. It illuminates the deep grain of the desk and the thin hairline crack in your brush's ivory handle. You'll replace it soon, but not yet. You pour water slowly from a glazed jug into the inkstone's shallow pool, then grind. The stick turns slowly, a circle of soft rasping. The ink thickens, black as night's last shadow. This is your meditation. A daily ritual, not for the gods, but for words. The first scroll of the day-to-day's work begins with census slips. You unwrap a bundle of bamboo strips, each tied with hemp cord. The wood is smooth, yellowed, inscribed with neat vertical strokes characters, marking names, ages, duties, taxes owed. You hold each one as if it were fragile bone. You sit at your desk, pick up your brush, and begin transcribing. Your handwriting is narrow and patient. You write not in haste, but in rhythm. Breath in, stroke down. Pause, stroke across. You do not copy thoughtlessly. A missed mark can change meaning. A misaligned character can imply dishonor. These slips will be bound into a greater scroll that will be read by a superior. You do not write for yourself. You write for memory. The courtyard stirs outside. The house awakens. Footsteps shuffle over stone. A woman hums as she gathers water. The gardener pulls weeds from the edge of the path, their roots snapping delicately in the earth. You hear the flutter of pigeons from the eaves. You sip a bowl of warm tea brewed from chrysanthemum petals and fennel seeds. Its bitterness is welcome. It sharpens your thoughts. You return to your brush, fingers stained from yesterday's ink. By the time the sun crests over the garden wall, you've copied 15 new slips, each a line in a ledger that stretches across provinces, rivers, mountains, each a small act of empire. The order of the archives by mid-morning, you stand. You cross the courtyard to the records, room dry. Shaded space lined with lacquered chests and pigeonhole shelves. This is where the empire sleeps, in bundles, slips, seals. You return a set of tax registers, wrapping them in cloth and tying them with twine. Your knot is precise, always the same. You stamp them with your sealer-round mark, pressed into wet. Clay. One cabinet is reserved for edicts from the prefect. Another holds harvest records, marked with red twine. A third holds letters of complaint, some written in rage, others in soft, trembling script. You read them all. You sort them by tone, not just content. Your mind becomes a library. Letters on silken special days. You are permitted to copy official communiques onto silk. Today is one such day. The silk is thin, cream-colored, and expensive. You spread it carefully over your desk, weighing the corners with polished stones. Your ink must be thinner, here too thick and it will bleed. You take your time. The characters must flow like water over stone as you write. You imagine the journey this message will take, carried by courier on horseback, folded in a lacquered case, handed to another clerk in another province. You will never meet them, but your brush will dot between lines. A life you pause, dot your brush rests in the dish. A breeze slips through the open window, rustling the bamboo outside. You take a bite of sweet bean cake, soft in the center, wrapped in dried leaf. The sugar coats your tongue. In the distance, a bell sounds from the city gate. Another clerk, in another building, sits as you do pen in hand, message before him. You wonder if his ink runs thicker, if he too paused just now to breathe. You return to your work. The characters welcome you. Quiet scrolls, quiet steps midday in the records office, asterisk by now. The shadows have shifted. The long strips of light that once spilled across the stone floor now lie deeper in the corners, touching shelves and feet with muted gold. You rise from your desk once more, your legs stiff from sitting, your fingers ink-stained but steady. The midday bell has not yet rung, but you know the hour by the behavior of the house. The servant slowing her steps, the silkworm keeper returning. From the mulberry grove, the faint metallic clink of the kitchen ladle stirring. Rice porridge over a coal brazier. It is time to bring the morning's writing to the archive. Walking the stone. Corridor the records office is not far. Just through a side gate, past the lotus pond, and down a shaded corridor paved with slate tiles, smooth from centuries of footsteps like yours. You walk slowly. Your stack of bamboo slips bound neatly in both hands. The cords are snug, the seal, still moist but firm. You breathe through your nose. You take your time. The scent of ink lingers in your sleeves. So does the faint perfume of burning cypress, drifting from the small altar tucked in the wall's curve. You pause to bow lightly just once toward the shrine, not as devotion, as custom. Then you move on. The archives of memory, the record room smells of dust, dry clay, and lacquered wood. It is quiet, except for the gentle creaking of shelves under the weight of many decades. Here, records are not forgotten. They are arranged in rows ledgers of census, tax, rainfall, conscription, and crop yield. Slips bound in dozens, hundreds. Cloth wrapped labeled with red and black ink. You place your bundle in the proper drawer. You stamp the entry log with your name pressed into the clay with your own seal, just beneath yesterday's mark. It is a strange feeling to be both invisible. An essential you are a thread in the empire's weave, one among many, and yet without you. The pattern would fray dot letters without answers on a bench by the far wall. You sort complaint slips, each is written by handsome scrawled with fury. Others painstakingly neat, often with tears still staining. The bamboo, my ox died. There is no one to help me plant. The grain store claims I owe more than I do. The canal has not been cleared since the rains. You read, you note, you never judge. Some are passed upward, others are quietly filed. You tie them with cord, ink the date, and place them in their proper drawer. These voices may never be answered, but they are not lost. Lunch in the side gardenia. Low chime sounds from the corner of the building yet. Bell calling clerks to rest. You wash your hands in the stone basin just outside the archive. The water is cool, brought from a mountain spring. Before dawn, you press your damp palms to your neck. The relief is instant. In the side garden, you sit beneath a paulownia tree, its branches heavy with purple blooms. A breeze stirs the petals. One lands in your lap. You unwrap your meal, rice wrapped in lotus leaf, a pickled plum, a piece of cold roast duck wrapped in mulberry bark. You eat slowly, you chew thoroughly. Nothing is wasted. Nearby, a younger clerk jokes with a scribe from the prefect's office. Their laughter is soft, brief. Then they too fall quiet. This is the sacred hour, not for prayer, for breath, scrolls, silences. And Sanju returned to your desk. On the windowsill sits a sand clocker, narrow tube made of fired clay, filled with fine white grains. One end has emptied slowly while you ate. You flip it gently. The grains resume their descent, silent and steady. You think about how time has passed, not just today, but across centuries. The scrolls in your cabinet reach back 5 emperors, and someday someone will file your writing away. Preserved under twine and silk and memory, will your characters survive the humidity of summer? Will the seal remain unbroken? Will someone in another age hold a bamboo slip in their palm and wonder who were you? Lamps, ledgers, and the shape of time asterisk. The sun is now low, casting amber along the roofline. Its light filters through the lattice of your study, painting quiet lines across the floor and shelves. Outside, footsteps fade, voices grow hushed, and the stillness deepens like the darkening sky. You return to your desk once more. The sand clock has emptied again. You do not turn it. Not now. The day has entered its final phase, the hours of quiet transcription, soft lamplight, and thoughts that drift between past and present. Lighting the evening lamp hue strike a flint over a small oil bowl, shaded with a circle of thin bronze. The wick smoulders, then catches. The flame dances like a memory recalled. Your ink, once dried, is stirred gently with warm water. The stick grinds softer in the evening. Your brush has been trimmed bristles, shaped to a point like a crane's. Beak, you lift it. There is no rush to the words now. You transcribe a poem, not one of your own, but an ancient verse written in the reign of the first emperor. It speaks of reeds by the river, of a moon caught in the eye of a turtle, of longing for spring. You do not write for duty now. You write because it is how your mind returns to silence, the echo of lives in slips and scrolls once the poem is complete. You roll it slowly. You weigh it down with a jade stone gifted by your uncle, who once held a minor post in Luoyang. Beside you are the records of the day, tallies of grain, names of new births, to minor property disputes. These, too, must be logged. You do so carefully, categorizing them by province and type. You add your initials in the corner of the silk slip, nearly invisible, a detail no one else would see, but you know it is there. As you work, you wonder, how many of these names will be remembered? Will someone speak them aloud in 100 years? Perhaps not, but still you record them. Filing the datha drawers of your archive welcome the weight of new scrolls. Each one is bound tightly, tagged with ink, sealed with pressed clay. The seal bears the prefect's mark, not yours. You do not mind. Yours is the hidden hand, the silent lineage, You brush the dust from the drawer edge with your sleeve. You make one last entry in your ledger. Time completed. Documents submitted. Seals confirmed then. You set your brush down. You cover your ink. Cap your ink. Wrap your brush in silk. The day has ended. Evening outside, the records haul you. Step into the courtyard just as the first stars begin to bloom in the velvet sky. The air smells of plum blossoms and faint traces of ink still clinging to your robe. In the distance, you hear as if someone plays a slow tune, fingers plucking strings with sleepy grace. You do not know the melody, but it fits the night. A servant offers you warm rice wine in a shallow clay cup. You take it, nod your thanks, and sip. The warmth pulls in your chest. Your body, tired but not worn, leans against a garden pillar. The bamboo rustles softly. Insects chirr. A paper lantern drifts across a neighbor's roof. The thoughts of a clerk before sleep you return to your sleeping mat. You untie your sash. You fold your robes. Each movement is quiet, deliberate, rhythmic. Before you lie down, you glance once more at your desk, tidy, still. Waiting for tomorrow, you wonder, not aloud, does the empire know how much it relies on? The quiet hours of men like you. Not generals, not nobles, but those who remember, who copy, who keep the bamboo from forgetting. You pull the blanket over your chest. Outside, a paper slip flutters on a garden post. Perhaps left by wind. Perhaps a message never sent. The lamp dims, and you drift to sleep, wrapped in the calm certainty that somewhere, beneath the stars, your work remains. Let's now wander into a different time, a different place. And now, let's drift into a new corner of forgotten history. Story 4. Ashes and Aromatics. Bathing rituals in ancient Kush water before sunlight. The dawn bath of a Kushite noblewoman, * the night is not yet fully gone. A pale ribbon of light stretches across the eastern sky as the air still clings to the coolness of desert dark. Silence rests over the cluster of houses, gardens, and courtyards in this northern city of Meru. Dust lies undisturbed. The scent of burnt acacia wood lingers faintly from last night's hearth, and yet, behind tall mud brick walls painted in fading ochre and indigo, a vessel is already being filled with water. You are a noblewoman of the kingdom of Kush descended, from a long line of queens and priestesses. But you do not rise to rule this morning. You rise to bathe. A room made for ritual, the bathing room is not large, but it is cool and shaded, lined with dark stone and low benches. The floor is sloped gently toward a central drainan innovation, borrowed long ago from Egyptian neighbors, adapted by Nubian hands. Clay jugs stand in a row along one wall, filled the night before with water drawn from a nearby well, strained through linen and left to rest under moonlight. A servant lights a shallow brazier, not for warmth it's already warm enough, but to awaken the air. She adds shavings of sandalwood, a pinch of ground frankincense, and dried marjoram leaves. The scent rises slowly, never sharply, earthy sacred, soft. You sit on a stool carved from acacia wood and close your eyes, washing. Without rush, water is poured in slow streams, first over your hair thick, coiled oiled the day before with shea and scented resin. The water rolls in rivulets down your scalp, soaking the linen towel draped around your shoulders. You do not flinch, you do not speak. The servant uses a smooth riverstone to scrub your arms, not harshly, just enough to remove dust and dream. A paste of ash, clay, and oil is rubbed into your skin. It smells faintly of citrus peel and crushed leaves. You let it sit for a moment. This is not hurried. The body is prepared for the day the way a room is prepared for a guest. You are cleansed not in fear of impurity, but in reverence for stillness, braiding, oiling, and the mirror of copper when the rinsing is done. Your skin is dried with soft linen. The towel smells of the riverbank, sun-dried and beaten with wooden paddles to make it supple. A small mirror, polished from copper, is held up. Your face glows softly in the reflection, muted and distorted by the curve. You touch your forehead. The servant braids your hair. Slowly, carefully. Each braid is coiled with strings soaked in resin. Small beads carved from ivory and wood are slipped into place tokens of your family, your name, your house. Then the oil, a golden blend of castor and palm, pressed and filtered with herbs, rubbed into elbows, knees, wrists, and neck. The scent clings, not heavy, but persistent. You smell of earth and warmth. You smell like home. Clothing, a ceremony or tunic, is of cotton, finely woven, bleached white and folded in long vertical pleats. It is pulled over your head with care. Then a sash dyed ochre with bark and flame. It wraps twice around your waist and knots with practiced hands. Jewelry is not for display, but for grounding. A wide collar of glazed faience rests against your chest. Each bead is shaped like a lotus or a bird. It clicks softly as you walk. Feel no need to hurry. Outside, the day has just begun. Stepping into sunlight, you step into the courtyard barefoot. The sun crests over the palace walls. Pigeons stir on the rooftop. A neighbor's servant draws water from the well. Far beyond, camels grunt near the temple gates, waiting to carry incense to the market. You stretch your arms slowly. Your skin glistens faintly. Your hair is coiled. Your feet are cool on the stone. There is no task awaiting you immediately. No meeting, no list, only the slow unfolding of day, and the memory of water poured in silence. Oils, offerings, and the midday silence of Meru *. The sun now hangs higher in the sky, its light spilling across the city like gold dust. It settles on the flat rooftops, glints off copper water jars, and casts long, slow-moving shadows through palm fronds. The streets of Meru are not loud, but alive in a different way, with the hush of midday labor, the sweep of brooms, the creak of rope over the city's many wells, and you, still carrying the scent of ash and marjoram on your skin, walk slowly beneath your shaded portico. This is the quiet time between ablution and meal, between cleansing and duty. You are not idle, but you are not rushed. Incense for the living you, kneel before a small household altar, nothing grand. Just a square platform of limestone etched with lotus and falcon motifs. This shrine honors your ancestors, not gods. Two small figurines sit side by side, rubbed smooth from years of touch. You place a lump of incense, a blend of myrrh, benzoin, and dried acacia gum into the brazier. The heat is low, steady, smoke rises in a pale spiral, thin and graceful. It doesn't fill the air, it simply lingers, like memory. This is not prayer, not in the way outsiders might think. You are not asking, you are remembering, thanking, attuning. As the incense smolders, you sip a bowl of cool barley drink, lightly sweetened with date paste. A servant places a small dish of roasted lentils and melon slices beside you. You eat in silence, bathing implements and the tools of fragrance while you rest. Another servant order. More meticulous cleans the basin and tools from the morning's bath. She hums softly as she works, dipping the smooth river stones into vinegar and wiping them dry with cloth. Nearby, a row of small jars sits in a niche carved into the wall. Each holds a different blend of oil, frankincense, and cedar for calming. The skin after sun. She pressed with hibiscus petals for softening cracked heels. Blue lotus extract, a rare luxury only used before ceremonies. She mixes a small amount of hibiscus oil and rubs it into your heels as you sit. The motion is rhythmic. You do not speak, neither does she. In the background, a boy grinds dried rose, petals in a shallow mortar, reducing them to powder for the next day's perfume paste. These acts are not indulgence. They are order. They are peace made tangible. Bathing as balance, the elders say that cleanliness is not the absence of dirt, it is the balance of elements. Fire to warm, water to cool, earth to grind, air to carry away what's heavy. And so the midday bath is not another full cleansing, but a balance. You take a cloth soaked in rose water and wipe your brow and neck. You press it to your temples. Your pulse slows. You feel the tension drawn out like breath. Some days, when the sun is harsh and tempers rise in the house, the entire family takes this moment together, sitting in the shaded bathing room, rubbing cool clay over the arms and legs, then rinsing with fragrant water. No one talks much. The silence is the bath temple preparations later today. You may visit the temple not in ceremony, but to observe a ritual of incense offering. In preparation, you lightly oil your scalp with nerli and twist your braids tighter. A thin veil, woven of pale linen and dyed with pomegranate rind, is draped over your shoulders. You do not wear it to cover, but to soften the heat. Your hands are scrubbed again with ash and dried lemon peel. Your toenails are cleaned with a twig soaked in vinegar. Even in the heat, you are never hurried. Each motion is deliberate. Outside, the city has quieted. The peak of heat presses low on the walls. Even animals sleep now, curled in shade. Inside your home, the stone floor remains cool beneath your feet. Your skin glows faintly from the oil. You carry no heavy perfume only. The memory of this morning's wood smoke and jasmine water, steeped gently into your robe. Rest before ritual. You lie on a daybed near the open courtyard, a thin linen cushion beneath you. You fan yourself gently. A small copper bowl of water sits at your side, covered with a single lotus leaf. Occasionally, you lift it to sip. Around you, stillness. A palm tree sways. A thread of smoke continues to rise from the brazier. The scent has changed deeper now, more resinous. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but to listen to the hush, to the breath of oil lamps, to the feeling of being clean, not just in body, but in thought. Nightfall oils and moonlit water, the evening cleanse asterisk, the sun is beginning to fall, casting long slanted shadows through the open lattice of the courtyard. Its light no longer burns, it glows. The world softens. Dust glitters in the air like tiny flecks of gold. In the distance, the call of herders bringing their flocks home echoes softly across the rooftops. Clay pots are covered, ovens are sealed, and once more the servant steps into the bathing room with slow, practiced hands. Evening brings the second bath, not one of labor, but of renewal, a preparation for sleep, for dreams, for the body to carry quietness into the night. Water drawn in silence this time. The water is warmed, not boiling, not steaming just enough to release the scent of jasmine flowers floating in the bowl. The clay vessel is lifted carefully and poured into a wide, low basin. It splashes gently. A rhythm of peace. You stand at the edge, dressed in a simple shift, and lower yourself until knees and calves are submerged. The warmth embraces you. The petals drift toward your skin, catching briefly at your wrist before floating away again. A fine cloth soaked in mint oil is pressed to your shoulders. Your eyes close. You breathe through your nose. You are not washing away dirt. You are releasing. The day dot smoke as a second skinny new brazier is lit, smaller than before. In it, powdered resin mixed with rosewood and amber is sprinkled over the coals. The smoke that rises now is pale and sweet, different from the sharp morning flame. It curls gently around your ankles, then your arms, then into your hair. Some say the smoke wards off spirits. Others say it calms the skin, dries the dampness from the bath. But you believe it simply belongs. A soft presence. You rise from the basin slowly. A towel, warmed over a flat stone, is draped around your shoulders. The water trickles down your spine. You do not rush to dry it. You let it linger. A final rinse of orange blossom water is poured over your head, not for scent, for clarity. You close your eyes and remember nothing but stillness. Night garments and soft skin in your chamber. The oil jar awaits. A new blend cooling and light of myrrh, melon seed, and palm kernel. It is rubbed into your calves and feet, into the small, off your back, behind your ears. A second skin of scent. Your night tunic is thin and soft, colored with crushed indigo and faded now from many washes. It smells of the garden sun-dried, dust-kissed, and clean. You step into a pair of leather sandals, worn soft with years, not for walking, for ease. You run a comb through your braids, unwind them slightly, and pat shea butter into the roots. The soft click of bone beads lulls the air. Outside, stars begin to show. The final offering before rest. You approach the shrine. Again. This time, you carry a small dish of dates soaked in wine and a pinch of scented ash. You place them gently beside the old figurines. You do not speak. You bow once, and you light the smallest taper, just a stub of candle on a clay plate. It flickers, warming the copper beneath it. You sit beside it for a long time, staring not into flame, but into the space around it. A night bath without water. You return to the courtyard basin one last time. It is empty now, but still warm from the evening's use. You dip your hands into the damp linen left behind and press them to your face, then to your chest, your feet, one touch at a time. A ritual without water, only memory, only intention. You dry your palms against your robe, and you lie down on your woven mat beneath a canopy of thin cotton. The air is cool. The lamps are dim. You hear the sound of crickets in the reeds and the faint murmur of water drawn from the well. You feel clean, not just from dust, but from the weight of the day. And as you close your eyes, your last thought is not of dreams or of tomorrow, but of the way water sounds when poured gently, when received with care. Let's now wander into a different time, a different place, and now let's drift into a new corner of forgotten history. Story 5. Rain over the maize fields. How the Maya watched the sky before the clouds came. The dawn of a sky watcher, asterisk, it is still dark. The air is warm, wrapped in the scent of damp earth and crushed banana leaves. Somewhere beyond the thatched roof, a bird calls not loud, but insistent, like a flute made of bone. You awaken without alarm. You know that sound. It means the sun will soon rise. You are a conum, a squist, not a priest, though your role is sacred. Not a farmer, though your eyes rarely leave the soil. You live between worlds, earth and sky, calendar and cornfield. Your task is not only to observe, it is to remember. Today, you will climb the temple steps and look east. But first, you bathe. Cleansing with lime and ash, the steam bath is small. Low to the ground, its stones warmed since midnight. Inside, the air is thick with heat. You sit on a smooth rock and press a cloth soaked in lime water against your chest. The cloth smells of burnt wood, clay, and the faint zest of bitter orange. You scrape your arms with a piece of obsidian, sharp, thin, almost weightless. Not to bleed, just to lift yesterday's skin. You do this in silence. The only sound is water hissing on stone and your own breath. Outside, the first pale light filters through the forest canopy. You step into the open, cool now, clean in mind and body, climbing the temple steps. The temple rises from the plaza like a great staircase to the gods. It is built of limestone blocks, smoothed with centuries of care. Moss gathers in the cracks, and orchids bloom from crevices high above. You climb slowly, barefoot. Each step is both a ritual and a record. At the top, you face east. The horizon is still dim, but the clouds are tinted coral and silver. You kneel beside the carved stone stela, etched with glyphs of the previous equinox, the last appearance of Venus, the most recent eclipse. You open your bark paper notebook, unroll it carefully, and set your fingers to the damp page. You wait, watching. The sky you do not stare. You watch. Your eyes move across the sky the way a reader moves across text. You note the cloud shape, the wind's direction, the sharpness of light near the horizon. You've seen this pattern before, 5 cycles ago. In the long count's previous ton, the sun breaks the horizon. It rises directly between the twin towers of the eastern gate. Just as it should, this is the day you marked months ago, scratched in red ink into the codex's corner. A festival day, the beginning of a new chaeton. You nod, satisfied, but the wind troubles you. It shifts westward too early. You write it down. Calendars without clocks, you do not use ours. You use GLYPHS. Today is 5 Ajar, the 5th day of the Ajar Sunlord sequence. The month is Kayab, the season when May's ears lengthen and rains. Grow slow. Your codex contains thousands of such entries, marks made by your father, your grandfather, a dozen generations before you. Each one a symbol of time passing not as line, but as circle. You flip the page and compare. The same wind blew on 5 Ajor, 52 cycles ago. That year, the harvest failed. You close the book, not in fear, but in awareness. The cornfield and the sky, you descend from the temple. The plaza is stirring. Women sweep leaves from stone paths. A child carries a clay pot of atole to the workers. In the distance, the maize fields glisten from last night's dew. You walk there now, not as farmer, but as listener. The corn speaks slowly, leaves rustle in tones. The soil presses damp against your feet. You stoop and touch a stalk. You feel the pulse of life beneath the green. You whisper a question, not with your voice, but with your eyes. Will you grow? Will the rain come in time? What did the wind say today? The stalk bends faintly, touched by breeze. You understand, preparing. For the festival today, you will help mark the day's passage, not with declarations, but with small rituals. You will grind red ochre for the dancer's arms. You will string cacao pods and hang them on the shrine. You will fold a piece of paper into a triangle and blow smoke into its center, an offering to the sun's breath. You do not need to lead. The ritual, your role, is earlier, quieter. You saw the day before it arrived, and tonight, when the dancers move and the flutes sound, you will watch the stars, counting not minutes, but meaning. Offerings, wind, and the logic of the heavens asterisk. The plaza is now fully awake. The light is changed, no longer soft, but bright and unwavering. Shadows fall sharp and short across the limestone. The scent of copal incense rises from clay burners. At each temple corner, curling upward, drifting like ribbons into the blue, you sit in the cool shade of a colonnade, your codex open, your brush poised. You record what the sky revealed this morning, the angle of sunrise, the shape of the clouds, the pattern of birds above the forest line. You do not interpret yet. First, you must observe. Truth comes slowly. The codex as companion, the bark paper codex, is smooth and pliant. Its pages have grown dark with years of use, stained with thumbprints and the oils of hands long gone. You've written on this surface. Since you were a child, your father taught you to count, not in numbers, but in rhythms. 13 heavens, 9 underworlds, 20 named days, 18 months of 20 days each, and then the missing days at year's end web, the 5 dangerous days when balance trembles. Those are not far off now. You dip your brush in ink made from crushed berries and burnt soot. You write carefully, a jaw 5 wind from west clouds, break over maze-no birds after midday. You underline it once. You do not yet know what it means, but later you will. Offering to the sky, a servant approaches quietly and lays a cloth bundle beside you. Inside, cacao beans to jade beads and a handful of copal. These are the day's offerings, not extravagant, but sincere. You walk to the edge of the observatory platform. There, in a hollow carved into the stone, you arrange the offerings with care. Beans in a circle, beads in the center. Copal set aflame last. The smoke rises, and with it, the scent of earth and sweetness. You speak no words. The wind will carry the meaning. Lessons from the elders at midday. You sit with the elder watchers beneath the tamarind tree. They are old, but their eyes remain sharp. I choose crushed lime and tobacco, spitting occasionally into a clay pot. Another taps a rhythm on the arm of his bench-counting days, perhaps, or tracking the pulses of Venus. They remember the drought of 4 cycles ago, the late rains, the eclipse that warned of imbalance. One of them asks you, did the clouds part today? You nod, and the wind. You tell him, from the west early. He closes his eyes. You do not ask what it means. You will know soon enough, sky. As scripture later, you return to your post beneath the southern watchtower, where the plaza spreads out like a patterned cloth. Children run between pillars, their laughter echoing. A woman pours water over hot stones. Smoke rises dot above. The sky is clear. Too clear, you stare into the open blue, noting the sharpness of light, the absence of movement. The birds are silent. Now, the wind has died. You write this down. You add a mark beside it, a symbol for imbalance. You've seen this before. 3 cycles ago, and the maize withered that year. You do not panic. You observe. You record. You remember. The festival begins by. Afternoon, the plaza fills with sound. Drums echo from stone walls. Dancers enter in slow procession robes, dyed with annotto, feathers fanning from headpieces, beads clicking with each step. The scent of cooked maize and tamales wrapped in banana leaves drifts through the air. The ritual is beautiful, layered with symbols. A dancer walks in a spiral, mimicking the sun's path. Another carries a carved staff, half serpent, half stalk of corn. A child kneels to place a clay frog at the altar's base. For rain, you remain at the edge, watching. Your role is not to move, but to know. You close your eyes as the drum beats deepen. You listen for what the sky does not say. You feel for what the soil remembers. Night scrolls and star paths. The sky watcher's final duty, asterisk, the sun has dipped below the forest, leaving a band of orange along the western horizon. The plaza still murmurs with life quiet now, gentler. A few women gather tamale leaves. The scent of smoke and masa hangs in the air. Dancers rest beneath porticos, their feathered headdresses folded neatly on woven mats. And above it all, the first stars bloom. You stand alone atop the eastern platform, codex rolled beside you, eyes lifted toward the darkening dome. This is the part of the day when no one calls your name, when the heavens speak slowly and only those who wait can hear. Mapping the heavens without a compass, you lie on your back on the stone slab, flat and warm from the day's heat. Your arms rest at your sides. Above you, the night reveals itself. The Milky Way stretches like a white road Shabalba be, the black road, the path between life and death. You know its twists. You know the spots where it splits, bends, disappears. You track Venus first. She has just risen in the west, near the jaguar's mouth. You make a mark in the dust. Not for art, for record to the north, the seven macaws shimmer. You follow their arc with your finger. They have shifted slightly. You write again in the dark, brush moving like a whisper on the bark paper. These stars tell stories, but they also tell time. Firelight and the long count beside you. A small fire burns inside a stone ring. Not for warmth, for light. Its glow allows you to check the long count. 13.0.4.7.12, Ajor 5. Month Kayab, you murmur the numbers softly. They anchor you. The calendar is not for dates. It is for cycles. Everything returns, every drought, every eclipse, every harvest and flood. To watch the sky is not to predict. It is to remember. You draw the day's last glyph in your codex. A curl of smoke, a tail of wind, a quiet star, an observation without judgment to a teacher once told you. We do not command the sky, we accompany it. Tonight the sky is too clear, the stars are too sharp, the wind too absent. It is not a warning, but it is a note, a line to be remembered when the maize turns yellow too early, or when the frogs fall silent in the wetlands. You press your thumb gently into a clay tablet. One mark, a signature that says, I saw this, that is enough. A return to earth. You descend slowly, the steps cooled by the night. Your home is small, quiet. The same fire lit before dawn still glows, barely. You warm your hands. You eat a single tamale wrapped in banana leaf. You drink water from a gourd. You remove your headdress, place it beside your codex. There are no more words tonight, just ink drying on bark, just stars slipping behind the trees. The final dream of the sky as you lie down on your mat, head resting on a folded cloak. The sound of the forest surrounds you. A monkey calls once, then silence. You close your eyes, and the stars you've studied all day linger behind your lids, and you wander softly, when the sky shifts again, when Venus falls, when the moon tilts, will someone still be watching, still remembering, still listening with ink-stained hands? Let's now wander into a different time, a different place. And now, let's drift into a new corner of forgotten history.